Welcome back to Unsolicited Advice, brought to you by Toxic Bubblegum. I'm Bubblegum.
I'm Toxic.
And today we're talking about social media in its relation to media. Not just like in general, because we have a lot of opinions about that.
Yeah.
So yes. You guys, quote?
I do have a quote. Build it and they will come only works in the movies. Social media is a build it, nurture it, engage them, and they may come and stay.
And that is by Seth Godin.
Seth something.
Seth is here, but not really.
So we're talking about social media today because it's a very good marketing tool for creators.
Right. It's sort of essential in the current market. As we talked about in our last episode, physical portfolios are mostly done for these days.
Yeah.
You do still have some old school artists who prefer to have hand-done portfolios, and I don't know how it goes about sending like hand-done manuscripts in or anything
That
like
doesn't happen.
Yeah, if you're trying to get your work out there, social media is your most accessible and one of the hardest ways to market yourself.
Yes.
Because everyone's doing it. Mm-hmm. So, you gotta make yourself better than everyone else.
Right. And it's something, helping your online visibility is good for a lot of reasons, not just because it will get you a larger fan base, but also because if you ever get to the point where you're looking for an agent or looking to sign your work to someone, they, having like a strong online presence and having a social media presence will give you that edge, because their job is to sell you, and if you're doing some of their job for them, you know, they're going to be more interested in you.
Right, and it's also a way, so even then, once you have your agent, and your agent is selling you to somebody else, mm-hmm. They're gonna bring up the fact that you have a strong online presence, yes. And that half of their selling is already done, because you already have a fan base who is interested in your work.
Right.
So.
And they don't have to spend a bunch of their time getting you an online presence, which is the first step. If you can do that step yourself, anyone who helps you is going to have a better chance of doing so.
Right. They can invest their assets elsewhere that maybe you don't have access to.
And this is something we talked about a little bit in the last episode for portfolio making, but it can't, or not, yeah, we talked about it a little bit for portfolio making and also in our self-motivation episode. It's one of those things, social media can eat up a lot of time, mm-hmm. So you have to go about it in a tactical way, because you are never, it takes time to run any kind of social media page, it takes time to establish that kind of a presence, and you have to stick with it, but you can't spend all of your time sticking with it.
Right. You gotta, like I said, you gotta invest assets elsewhere besides just social media.
And the more you know going in, the less time it's going to take you. So spend a little bit of time doing research to find a social media platform that is going to work for you.
Right. You want to find somewhere that's going to help your visibility and also, be sort of what you're looking for in terms of being able to queue up material and, sort of market towards your audience.
And that's something we're going to talk about today.
Woo!
So,
where should we start? Do we want to talk about sort of choosing your social media site?
Eventually, this is something I haven't run by Alan yet. Eventually, one of the things that I'd like to do is like another short mini-series, kind of like we did with Colors, where we do like a basic introduction to different social media sites. But today we're just going to do like an overview, kind of what sort of communities, generally speaking, you'll be able to have the highest impact on for the different platforms.
Right, because as it turns out, certain sites attract certain people.
Yeah.
Which is why I use social media that Kat doesn't use, Kat uses stuff that I don't use, and it's fun, guys. I should use my Twitter more. Twitter is very good.
Twitter is really good for just about any kind of creative field that you want to go into. I would say that it's weird, because I'm very interconnected with the writing community on Twitter. It is one of the least active it's one of the least active social media sites for writers specifically, in terms of things that you traditionally want in a community as a writer. But that being said, it is very active in other ways. An unfortunate amount of it in the writing community is promotions, but I have also gotten, like, a handful of, like, job offers and collaborative opportunities and stuff through Twitter, just by literally being there. Actually, the first interview that I ever did, when I advanced from a Tumblr to a WordPress blog, I got into it just because the president of Hocus Pocus Comics, Dwight McPherson, was just looking for someone to promote a comic that he had done. And I was just there. I was the first person to be like, I'll interview you. I don't have a blog. And he was like, great.
That's great.
Because they were just like, because the writers, there's so much self-promotion going on, but they're really friendly, you know? And now I have a WordPress. That's a thing I do now.
I think Twitter's really good. I see a lot of artists use Twitter because it does have an image feature that you can use on there, which is a big difference because writers usually, you know, you need space to write, and Twitter is a limited character website. So Twitter is really good for, like, that promotional stuff because you can link out using it. Artists are more inclined to just post their art on it. And I mean, like, so some people use it exclusively for their art, some people use it as sort of a personal and promotional thing. Like, if I would ever, you know, use my, Twitter, which I should at some point in my life, I've just posted, like, art on mine. I don't really post any personal stuff, because as a preference, I like to keep my work life and my personal life separate.
And this is a good point to make. This is probably why Alan doesn't like Twitter more. There's, I'd say more than any other social media site, there's very little boundary between the art and the artist on Twitter. There aren't, like, a lot of Twitters for projects.
Right.
Like, you see, you know, like, every time a new movie comes out, it has its own Facebook page. And it, you know, everything, it gets very separated, and it's its own group, or its own page, or wall, and it's the same way with a lot of different social media places. Twitter, it happens, obviously, but it happens
less
rarely. You're more likely to stumble on a creator's personal Twitter than a work Twitter, because they're usually one and the same.
Right. And it's like, it's one of those things where, just as my preference, I like everything to be separated, because that's just who I am as a person. I like separate things. But for, I mean, like, a lot of people, it works really well for them. Because, as it turns out, because it's such a limited character stream of stuff, you get to go through more posts.
Right.
And you get to see more. Sorry, I thought about The Simpsons for a second there, and my brain shorted out.
Oh.
Say more! Okay. Sorry, I malfunctioned. Anyway, but yeah, so I say Twitter is really good for posting updates, posting art, posting promotions, and sort of keeping people in the loop of things. Would you agree with that? You're the one that uses Twitter, I don't know.
Yeah, I do use it to stay. Twitter is also, it's a very effective tool, even if you're not using it to promote yourself. It's a great way to stay current with things. I follow a lot of my favorite creators almost exclusively on Twitter because I don't do Facebook, so it's a lot easier for me to stay up to date with people's feeds. They also, Twitter has its Explore feature, which is really good because it will have moments, which is essentially like a timeline or a forum would be on any other social media thing. And it's a great way. I use it a lot for politics. I stay
updated
on politics through Twitter, because if something really big happens, it'll come up on like the main Explore feed, but then it will also tailor suggestions for you. So it's like I follow the horror community feed through my Explore page, and I'm like one of the first people to know when like cool horror stuff is happening outside, because a lot of social media things keep you very integrated in the community that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I do most of my horror blogging through Tumblr, I get very invested in that one tiny subgenre of the community because I collaborate and interact almost exclusively with creepypasta content creators. But Twitter, it's like I can scroll through and it takes like less than 2 minutes a day to stay up to date on horror outside of my little creepypasta bubble. And I get to learn cool things all the time that I just like, I would have found out about eventually because they're big things, but I'm like on the cutting edge of stuff like that. I knew within like the first hour, for example, that they're talking about giving The Candyman to Jordan Peele for a remake.
Oh, is that good? Who knows?
I don't know.
Remakes have been bad lately for horror movies.
Sidebar, a little bit concerned about if I had to give Candyman to any like new horror director, it would be Jordan Peele. But it makes me really anxious because Candyman is already such an underappreciated franchise. Right. And there were like so many, it's a Clive Barker thing. Tony Todd starred in it, and it's like giving that over to someone who's done a horror movie. Right. And it's nothing about the quality of Get Out. It's just that's his one horror movie. Right. And it makes me nervous.
It's like one of those things where it's like no reason to like get angry, but it is, when a new director's taking the reins of a remake, everyone always gets a little bit nervous because like you never know what's gonna happen next.
But sometimes I am wrong.
Yeah,
about these anxiety things. I didn't want them to give Gerald's Game to Mike Flanagan because when they announced it, he'd only done one horror movie. And I was like, that makes me so nervous.
It's like your favorite.
But
your favorite
turned out great.
You love Mike Flanagan.
We'll see.
So it turns out.
But there's stuff like that you can do on Twitter, and it's just it's good.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, Tumblr is going to keep you very integrated in a very specific parts of the community. I think Tumblr is very good if you want to hold like long conversations with people because it does have the conversation feature, and like so
I would argue it does have like the IM feature.
Right.
The Messenger has gotten better. I really hate the inbox system for Tumblr.
God, no, I haven't used the inbox in fucking years. The inbox system is terrible. Tumblr's a bad site.
That's the thing, is like I've learned how to get around using it. It would be really nice if I could. Yeah. For long conversations.
It'd be nice.
That's my preferred function for long conversations, and it just flat out isn't good on Tumblr.
Yeah, no. Okay, Tumblr is a garbage site run by people that don't know how to make websites. I'll be the first one to say it. I'm also on Tumblr, like, all the time. So, like, Tumblr is a very specific sort of website, but there are a lot of people on it. So it's one of those things where it does sort of really limit your thing to who you're already following. It does sort of have an explore feature, but I mean, I've never used...
The explore feature is also bad.
Yeah, it's like... It's mostly, if you're keeping a Tumblr, it's to keep up with certain people in certain rings and to, keep a clear log of your stuff. Because the blogging platform, you can sort of customize it and, like... For the most part, you can get a theme that will make your post make sense. So, like, I use it, I have, like, a small portfolio on Tumblr. I actually sort of jumped over to Facebook more for my portfolio. But, like, so I use my Tumblr for, like, everything. Like, I post sketches, I put full pieces, I sort of put a little bit of everything on there. Whereas for my Facebook, I use more of just my finished stuff.
Tumblr is also really nice because it has very good, good as in variety of, not
Right.
good as in positive. It has a very good amount of fandom
Yes.
content. So if you are, it's more forgiving of like fandom trash than any other social media platform.
Right. A lot of people on Tumblr go there for the fandoms. So if you're a fan artist or like to do a lot of like inspired by a certain genre,
Harley's breaking stuff.
my dog's a dumbass. But if you're sort of aiming for like an anime audience, Tumblr's sort of your go-to for that because everyone's fucking anime trash on Tumblr.
Tumblr is also really, I think it's really good for creators generally because it just has like a good setup if you're wanting to post any kind of original content.
Right.
For the most part.
For the most part. I mean, it's sort of harder to get notes on your original work, but I mean, like, it is sort of like one of those things where it's sort of hard to get notes on your original work anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, but it does allow for a wide variety of things because I follow fan artists and I follow original artists because like I like both. So, and it's one of those things where because of the reblog feature, the people you're following, you can connect with other creators on there and you can discover new other artists based on the people that you're following.
Yeah. And there are a lot of really tight-knit communities on
Mm-hmm.
Tumblr also, if you're into, like, a specific thing. I already mentioned I'm, like, very involved in the creepypasta community. There's also, the true crime community is
Mm-hmm.
very close on Tumblr.
Yeah.
The horror writing community on Tumblr is getting to be kind of, like, a huge thing right now.
Yeah, it's sort of pumping up.
There's been a surge in original horror content, which is really nice.
That's nice. That's nice and different. I like it when things are different on Tumblr.
Yeah.
And it almost has a way of staying stagnant, which is why it's really nice that you can sort of that people can be enveloped more easily if they're part of a larger community.
Right.
I'm sort of worming my way into the furry community at the moment, which is very good, very big. I said good, I meant to say big. Fuck, my brain is not cooperating with me today. But, so, like, there's just a lot of communities, and you can get, I think the biggest thing about Tumblr is it can get very close-knit, so you can make, like, legitimate connections with people.
Yeah.
But a lot of the features on Tumblr, bad.
A lot of the features
Frankly.
just, like, flat out you shouldn't use.
Yeah.
Like the Explore feature or the inbox system.
Like, oh god, do you remember before the IM system, you had to use the fucking inbox?
I remember I didn't.
That's more than fair. I ran a bunch of roleplay blogs because that's who I am as a person. And whew, that was the worst because I don't remember what I say after 2 minutes, let alone I send a message 2 days ago and finally get a reply.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. Tumblr. It's a site, that's for sure. That should be a slogan.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a slogan. It might have a slogan. It's not memorable if they do.
Yeah. That checks out.
They gotta get somebody who knows how to design a website, right? Like, somebody there has to know.
Eventually someone will know how to design
Somebody,
a website.
maybe.
They'll probably work for someone else.
That's true.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a good one. Do you want to talk about Facebook?
Yeah, so Facebook is sort of where, like I said, I've moved over to doing my bigger portfolio on Facebook while I work on doing a site thing, which Kat is making for me because she's a good friend. But so, yeah, it's really nice. I use because it automatically has a photo gallery. So you can just make a post with a photo and it will automatically show up in your all photos gallery, and then you can sort it also into categories. Like I have my illustration category, I have like highlights from Toxic Bubblegum, like I have a bunch, like I have several different folders to sort my stuff into. I actually sent it out. That's what I've been sending out when I apply for art jobs. And I actually got a response after sending it. And so it's just very convenient because you can have a small description of yourself. You can have your photos. You can sort of have everything neatly organized. And it does allow you to go into more detail. Like if you have an organization page where you can sort of talk about your mission statement, link yourself to other websites, and it's just really helpful organizationally. And also it does allow you to share your automatically with people who you're friends with, which is what I do, because I'm like, hey, you like me, like my art too.
Nice.
So yeah, I like Facebook. Maybe not so much as like a website as a whole, because websites, but like I think it is good for an organization because you can have multiple pages on one account, and it's just convenient, and everyone has a Facebook also.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of my opinion on Facebook. It's convenient. Convenient, easy to share. Everyone has one, except for you.
I have one. I don't use it. I had to, I was in a writing contest that required me to have a Facebook page. So I got one, and I spent like a week very involved in the horror writing community on Facebook, but it was just so much worse than any other horror writing community I've been in.
Oh no, it's terrible for networking.
And I just stopped. And which is sad, because I really, I liked a lot of the people on there, but I didn't like the platform, and I didn't like all of the attention that my page was getting. It was not, it's harder on Facebook, I think, to direct what kind of attention you're going to get than it is on Twitter.
Yeah, because again, it's just one of those things. There's so much, and it's also like, because Facebook does recommended things, but like when I say it does recommended things, I mean like I'm getting things that's like, this person like Donald Trump, you should like this page too, and I'm like, I will murder a man before I do that. You idiot. Can you not see all the gay memes on my page? But yeah, so
yeah, those are that kind of covers the like basic social media things that you can use. And there are a lot of smaller, lesser known social media sites, and if you have them, if they work for you, that's great. But I would definitely recommend, I pretty much to anyone would recommend having either Twitter or Facebook.
Right.
Just because those are the two sites where you'll be able to communicate with the most people.
Right.
And it kind of comes down to which one works for you and which one you think you'll be better at. A lot of being successful on social media is knowing your strengths and playing to them.
Right. And I think it's also one of those things, even if you don't use it a lot, if you're using one of the lesser known platforms, you can use one of those bigger social media sites to link out to that. Because Facebook, and I think Twitter maybe does it too, when you provide a link, it like shows a short description of what's in the link. And it'll give you like a little preview image also. So like it's sort of, even if you're not doing that, you could just set up like a feed or whatever to automatically share it to your page. On there, because almost everything has a share to Twitter, share to Facebook, share to, there's some other thing also. I know Instagram. Oh, I should talk about Instagram real fast.
Yeah, I
guess. Instagram is sort of one of those smaller ones. Instagram is really great for artists because it's an entirely picture-based platform.
Right.
So, and that's one where I sort of do blend my social life and my art life because, like, that's, I don't care about it as much. But Instagram is really great. They do have a specific hashtag for artists, which is artists on Instagram, and a lot of people follow that tag. Like, I get likes from people that I don't even know, like, all the time when I post something. So, it's just really good if you're updating, even if it's just sketches or whatever, it sort of can get you a little bit more attention.
Right. One of the downfalls, I'd say, of using Instagram over other sites is just because of the way that the platform works. It's harder to get people to follow you from Instagram to another thing. It mostly works in reverse. Like, if you have friends or followers on a bigger social media site, they will follow you to Instagram, but it's a lot harder to pull people from Instagram to other sites. So it's like, it's a good promotional tool, and it's a good way to get your work out there. I'm not going to take a stand randomly against Instagram.
Whoa, Kat.
It's just, that is one of the downfalls.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely, I've never followed someone from Instagram to a different media. It's always been the other way around.
Right.
I didn't even know Mark had an Instagram for, like, the longest time, Markiplier, and I just, like, I hopped on that shit, because I was like, there are dog pictures here. I like that. So, yeah.
There are, like, there are a lot of really cool, like, horror aesthetic blogs and stuff on Instagram, and I got one at one point so I could, like, follow some of the horror blogs that I was following on Tumblr to Instagram, and then eventually it was like, why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? The other thing about Instagram is it is sort of, it's a mobile-only app.
Yeah.
You cannot use it from desktop. I've tried. You cannot. So, like, I just have it on my iPad, and, like...
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be taking pictures, you might as well take them at the highest quality you can. But yeah, so Instagram's one of those. It's very popular. There are a lot of people on there, but you're probably not going to be able to drag your audience from Instagram because it's usually for people that are already following you.
Yeah.
It's almost like sort of like a Discord sort of thing where people join it to be a part of a certain community, and then we'll sort of branch out from there. LinkedIn is a weird one. That's, like, touted as a very professional social media site.
Yes.
I don't know anyone with a LinkedIn. I have one, technically. I haven't touched it in
use
like 5
LinkedIn.
years. How is it?
LinkedIn, it's advertised very much as a way that you can get job opportunities through social media. What I've found more often is that it is a good way to meet other people who do more or less the same thing that you do. The main reason I do use it, though, is because the activity feed that you get from just accepting requests and doing, like, basic stuff to keep up with your connections it sort of, like, doubles almost as a resume for freelancers.
Oh, that checks out.
So and this, first of all, is, like, specifically for freelancers, and second of all, it's not 100% all the time rule, but generally, it's just, if you send a LinkedIn profile, it can double as a resume, and if you are working as, like, a freelance writer or a freelance artist, it's one of those things where if you have a job that's, like, mostly dependent on your portfolio, most places won't ask for a traditional resume, and having a LinkedIn is an easier substitute that looks as good, or in some situations better, because it's something that you have to keep up with, and people will see the activity and know that it's up to date.
And it's also one of those things where you can sort of, so you have, like, all your activity, whereas keeping up with a resume is very hard, because you do... it's recommended that every time you apply for a job, you tailor your resume specifically towards it. And it's, like, one of those things where if you're going in for, like, a big wig company or something like that, you probably want to do that. But a lot of independent contractors are sort of more up-to-date on the digital age, and will be more accepting and probably want to see more of, like, the little stuff that we've done opposed to, like, I did this one big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's my opinion.
Good.
That's the noise for today, by the way. My brain's not working, Cat. It's doing bad.
Oh no. So yeah, like I was saying, you have to really know your strengths. If you're good at interacting with people, like one-on-one, then maybe Tumblr, or maybe Twitter is, like, a really good place for you to be. If you thrive mostly through your content, maybe choose something like Tumblr. If you're good at doing, if you have a business page, or if you know that you're good at, like, keeping a consistent tone in different situations, I would maybe go for Facebook. And it's just, you have to know what you're good at and what kind of social media is going to support that the most.
And as always, I mean, technically it's recommended that you have all of them as much as possible, but you sort of have to choose your, you gotta choose which one to focus on.
Bailiwick.
What? Your what?
Your bailiwick.
The fuck? That's not a word.
That is in fact a word.
Fuck! I don't like that.
It's
take it back.
I don't think anyone's ever used it in social media terminology. It's your where you pull your power from.
Oh.
So it's like your core element.
Ah, of course.
Was it Coven? Was it AHS Coven?
I don't know, man.
I was watching something. I was like rewatching something the other day, and they used the term bailiwick, and it made me so happy. I was like, I'm gonna work that into my rotation somewhere, and I did. I forgot why I wanted to, but I did.
You got there. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It never I'm not gonna say it never hurts. It usually doesn't hurt to have social media accounts, just to have them, or just to reserve the name.
Right.
At the very least. So, sign up or whatever, experiment, see if stuff's for you, but focus your attention on 1 or 2 social media pages, because having a few small, strong bases is better than having weak bases, It's that Robert Baratheon, which is bigger, 5 or 1, and then he makes the fist 1. 1 united army. 1 united fan base. I love Game of Thrones.
Oh, shit, what? I didn't know about these. Let's talk about Game of Thrones.
Nice. If I were Robert Baratheon.
No, it was a joke.
No, but it's just one of those, it does really help to have, I would recommend having a stronger platform for yourself as opposed to spreading yourself too thin if it comes down to choosing, which it probably will, because managing that many social media accounts is
I can't do it. I can
hard.
barely manage 1. I can barely manage my own personal ones. It's bad.
And if you're like me, because what I do is I use 1 very actively, and then I creep on people on Twitter. Ooh. Like, I don't tweet that much, but I'm on Twitter every day just to respond to people.
Right, like retweeting. And I think that's one of the things, is a lot of, on Twitter you can sort of respond more efficiently than, like, Tumblr.
And that's something that, one thing, if you get to be really good with social media, I'm gonna transition now into just, like, social media tips.
Yeah, let's do it.
So one thing that's really cool about Twitter and Tumblr, and I don't know how Facebook works, is
Facebook is a thing.
That you can, if you know what you're doing, you can sort of utilize queue functions or TweetDeck if you want to be dumb, because Twitter can't just have a queue.
No.
That's not a thing we can have.
Facebook does also have a queue.
Yeah.
By the way.
I don't know how it works.
You can just, like, set it to post later, basically.
Okay.
I don't know if you can edit it.
WordPress thing?
Yeah. I don't know if you can edit it in the meantime. I've never used it, but it's there.
Yeah, Facebook is a lot more about, like, immediate what's going on.
Yeah.
Shit than, because it's not as content driven.
Right, exactly. It's more social driven, because that's what Facebook is for.
But if you feel on top of the game, it's a really good idea, if you can figure out how to do it effectively, to utilize queue functions on social media.
Yeah, because
it'll keep you more active, and then you can always, like, refill your queue on days when you have a little bit of extra time, and then you don't have to worry about staying active as much when you've got more important things to be doing.
Right, because, and this also, if something comes up in your life, you can also you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to be like, oh, well, now I have to deal with this, and I have to deal with all my social media for the day. That's like, you can just have that set aside so that if anything does come up, it's okay.
Yeah.
Queues are really good. Like I said, I don't use them because I don't have that much content as it is, because I'm still me. So You know, but I know you use your queue, like, all the time.
Yeah.
Like...
it's something I do a lot. It's something that I'm trying to set up for our Toxic Bubblegum Tumblr right now. It's hard to do there because a lot of the things that we follow don't post regularly.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to do in, like, creative specific fields, I get. But it is something that I utilize a lot for my horror blog. I have my queue set up to post, like, 2 things throughout my busiest hours, regardless of whether or not I'm there. Right. And it makes me feel like I was sick this last week. I was, like, not on Tumblr, and my queue was just running, and it was good. Yeah. And it's like, that was comforting.
It's, like, because it's one of those things where you do, on the one you're focusing on, you do usually want to post, like, at least once or twice a day. Because you just need to in order to keep up with the stream of the internet.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are posting a lot of things all the time. So you also got to be posting things. Maybe not all the time, but post things.
But regularly.
Right.
So use functions. This is kind of funny because we talked about how there are some functions of Tumblr you just can't use.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of the tools that you see on social media are tools that are designed to make having a social media account easier for you. Mm-hmm. So get familiar with whatever platforms you're using and make the most of everything that they give you, except for the explore and or inbox function on Tumblr.
You can just, like, ignore half of Tumblr, as it turns out. Like, who cares? They keep fucking it up anyway.
So that's something good. My other thing would be to learn about search engine optimization. Mm-hmm. That helps a lot on social media. It technically, you see it used a lot for, you know, blogs or anywhere posting articles or people who just want, like, the base content of their homepage to be more easily visible. But it's something that if you get in the habit of writing so that search engines can see you, it will really increase your online traffic and it will help you establish a presence. Another big thing that ties into the SEO optimization is just tagging shit. Yeah. Tag everything.
It's like one of those things where you also learn how to optimize your tags. Because what I found out about Tumblr is Tumblr only will show so you can tag it with as many things as you want. Mm-hmm. It will only show up in the first 5 tags.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're on Tumblr and you're organizing it, you can use as many tags as you want, but choose, like, put the 5 first that are gonna attract the most attention.
Yes.
Like, because I always use the artist on Tumblr first, illustration, like, digital art, and then I'll go and do the other tags. Because those are the tags that are getting, furry. Furry is a good tag to use, because everyone's on that tag. But yeah, so, like, you just gotta... If the tags do have a limit and what they'll show up in, make sure you're putting the most important ones first.
Right. And again, know your platform, because different sites will show different amounts of tags. They'll also utilize tags differently. Like, Tumblr has a lot of fun things in there, but you can like use them to sort through your own stuff. You can have tag pages on your blog. You can use them as a sorting tool, but like Alan said, you want to put your most important ones first because that's how people are going to find you.
Right. Put attention first, then organization. Yeah. I think because I search by tags a lot. If I search by tags, I mean I have to click on the tag because Tumblr Mobile is a terrible app. We're just fucking dragging Tumblr through the mud.
Tumblr's my favorite social media site, but you have to pick on it quite a bit.
Because it's bad.
It deserves
it. deserves it. But yeah, so, but yeah, like, definitely, like, organize stuff. Because people are gonna, if they find something they like, they're gonna want to see more of the same. Because, like, sometimes you just like to look at a certain brand of whatever, you know, or you get a character you really like, and you're like, oh, I want to see more of this character. Yeah. That's, like, good.
And my third thing, promote people.
Yes.
It's one of those, like, karmic things, almost. You know, you want people to promote you. One of the best things that you can do is promote other people. It's good for them. It draws attention to what you're doing, and it's good practice to share content with people. So it's like, if you see something cool and you retweet it or reblog it or share it, or, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, then people, you know, if they like the content, they'll remember you recommended it. You can establish tastes, you can let other people know what kind of stuff you're into, and it helps creators. There's never been a situation, it's really easy to look at stuff and be like, I want to promote my own content more, but there's just, you would drive yourself crazy trying to do exclusively your own content.
Oh, yeah.
And it wouldn't get as much attention.
It's one of those things, because also, like, the feeling of getting promoted is so good when it's your stuff. Yeah. So it's like, when you can sort of pass that feeling on, and you're like, hey, look at this cool thing that this other person did. And so you're helping another creator feel good, and you're helping to sort of, it goes both ways. Yeah. Because then if they're like, because in some cases they might reach out to you and be like, hey, thanks for promoting my thing. And then they'll, like, take a look at your thing and be like, hey, this is cool. Let's be friends. Let's,
Noise of the day, guys.
That's how I make all my social media connections, is I just make noises at people.
Pro tip, don't.
Huh?
Yeah. People can't read the noises that you make.
But they will listen to this video.
This is the end of Unsolicited Advice.
Forever. We're done. Do we have anything else, or is that about squared up?
That, I think, pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, we've talked about social media a bunch before. You can always find, like, if you really want to go into detail on certain things, there are people who've, like, written lists or done more in-depth thing on each of these different subjects. So, you know, do it. Do stuff. Go up there. That's all I got.
Bye, guys.
This has been Unsolicited Advice. I'm Bubblegum.
I'm Toxic.
And we'll see you.